Hello, everybody. This episode is going to be about basically like a 3-layer marketing ecosystem, kind of 3 layers of marketing that I think need to be in place in order for marketing to work. If you're like me, we're kind of in the middle of busy season. If you're in Seattle, you're basically like a one-man disgruntled weather person. Because I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but where I live, Seattle area, is actually one of the most difficult places in the world to predict the weather because we have the mountains and we have this thing called the Puget Sound, which is basically like a whole huge amount of ocean water that's come inlet around kind of this little hand we have in our state. If you look at the state on the map, you'll see it's like there's this section off to the left hand side and there's water that comes down. All of that is ocean water, and then we have the actual ocean, and then we're also right near the Canadian mountains. So it's these weather people, they try to predict the weather. They're almost always wrong. And what that means for me is that I have to wait until the day before or the morning of even to get an accurate report, especially in fall. We will have massive windstorms that come through that are not even, there's no alert for them. It's just all of a sudden you look outside and your trees are sideways, and then they'll be like huge. And this is like known by everyone in the Pacific Northwest. They'll be like huge windstorm coming. Everyone stocks up. It's like a fart. So that's just what it's like living here. And that's the major stressor that I have right now is, of course, I understand that clients are wanting images and wanting their sessions to be done before the leaves fall and all that stuff, and that all of those elements are part of the reason that fall is so frustrating for me. And it was reminding me of this one year that I opted out of fall. I was trying to remember what year that was, but I basically was like stopped shooting like mid-October and I was just done. I don't think we needed as much of my income then, because I definitely couldn't do that without doing some other sort of side hustle thing. But anyway, just as a family photographer, I'm just in the middle of it. If you're in the middle of it, I understand. I feel like this is this pressure cooker. Like there's a couple scenarios where I find myself getting like dysregulated as a photographer. One of them is pressure. I don't like pressure. Like anytime I photographed famous people, hate it. I don't care about the clout. I don't care. Like I just don't like it. I don't like the pressure. I don't like seeing other people at my sessions. I just like to be by myself and let my family be free. Like I get, like, this is an example. Sorry, I need to do a little ranting, sometimes you need a little ranting. So I'm like at my session, no one's really at the location, and we get to this little spot and it's kind of like we have it to ourselves and the kids are playing, and this guy comes and he just like sits on the bench behind me. So like I'm shooting and the family's in front of me, and 3 feet behind me, this little man who looked like Santa. And I was just like, my whole system shut down. I forgot everyone's names, which I normally can barely remember names as is. I couldn't remember what we were doing. I just could feel him back there, and it was like a glowing orb of distraction. So he presented pressure for me. Or like if I have any sort of like clear conflict within the family, I don't like that. I start to forget. This is a really funny thing that happens. I start to forget what I'm doing and I overshoot like crazy. This is what I've noticed psychologically when I break it all down. So anyway, if you're dealing with any of that stuff, just know that you are not alone. And maybe I'll try next year to quit taking on any outdoor work like mid-October and just have tons of rescheduled days or something, because if I'm honest, it is a lot to have to try to shuffle people around. So, okay, let's see. My pants are really tight right now, so I can't breathe that well. So if I sound out of breath, it's not because I've exercised, it's because my pants are tight. So that's another thing that's going on with me right now. All right, so we're going to talk about these layers of this ecosystem. So the first is trust. So we talk about trust all the time, how important it is with the goal of trust is to build emotional and psychological trust quickly. Maybe back in the day, like back in the 90s, you'd have a few business days to like get trust from people. That is no longer the metric. The metric isn't, oh, I drove by their storefront and it looked nice. And then 6 days later, I stopped the car and it was closed, but I exited my vehicle and looked in the window of the store and it still looked cute. And then 3 days after that, I found, no, that is not happening anymore. Now the question is, what makes someone stay and what makes someone scroll? That's where we're at now. That's the level of attention, right, that we're working from. So fast trust comes from alignment and consistency. So it's not perfection and it's not trends. So I want you guys to see that it's not, you don't have to be the most technical, perfect photographer, and you don't have to be the trendiest photographer. Your work needs to align with something within the prospective client that makes them say, ooh, I want that. And then you need to show that you can consistently produce that result. That is very important. So you want someone to think, I like her energy, I like her work, her process seems good, I love her resulting images. You want them to be thinking and saying these things as they immerse themselves in your brand. So the elements of fast trust, gaining fast trust, we could say, can't breathe. You want visual consistency, so lighting, color, tone across your portfolio and feed. Those things do matter. Like, okay, small rant. There's a couple photographers, and much love to you guys, but you're so off base with this. And they're like very trendy. They're like at the top of the trend. And they try to like preach downward about how you shouldn't have a niche and you should just follow your artist heart and none of this matters. And the thing is, for the average photographer, that is just not true. The people that I'm talking about who are preaching down about not being consistent, a lot of times they kind of have what I call an influencer personality. So they have in addition to their photography, they've built a following around themselves. And that consistency around themselves, around their influencer selves, is what draws people into them. And that consistency is what keeps people following along. And so then their work can be whatever because the people are buying into the artist. So there still is consistency there. It's just not necessarily in the work. And those people have found success doing a million different things and, one day using Flash and having it look like it's from 1993, and then the next day editing completely different, and they're here and they're there, and you could do a session with them and have no idea what the result is going to be. But for clients who have bought into that person's marketing, it doesn't matter because the buy-in is the person. So I just really want you to use discernment when you are getting marketing messages, especially from people with large following and almost like an influencer-esque persona. That's like a very dangerous person for a brand new photographer, because that advice is probably not going to help them have a profitable business. Because again, we're always riding the line of profitable business and on the other side, creative heart. Like, how do we do both? That's the challenge. That's the challenge of any family photographer. So just discernment on those types of messaging coming from those types of people. Okay, so we talked about that's visual consistency, voice consistency, word captions and tones that come across in voice that reflect your brand or your personality. So that's like, okay, we like what we see, we like what we hear. That's like easy. You can think about any brand that you've bought into or enjoyed. You like what you see, you like what you hear, you like their copy, it's making you feel happy. Clarity. So for a lot of people, this is the thing that's missing. Like, you can have really nice visuals and you could have clever captions, but you're not being clear about what your offer is or what you're currently shooting or what you're trying to book. And that's the piece that's missing. And when you're not clear, you lose trust. So just to recap, of the layers of trust, the elements are visual consistency, voice consistency, and clarity. So here's an exercise to see how you're doing. You could open up your website or your Instagram or wherever it is that you market, and you could say, would a stranger instantly know these things? Who you serve, where you are, and what your artist process is. You need to have those 3 things punching everyone in the face immediately. The next question is, does your work and tone feel cohesive from what you see on the website to the email they might get if you're not yet doing online booking, or even the follow-up email that they get, to how you talk in your captions on Instagram. Do you have a cohesive feel within your brand? Okay, so I just want you to think about that when it comes to trust. All right, the second layer is visibility. So you can have the prettiest images that are super gorgeous and everyone's on brand and you have just the right light and all the stuff, but if no one sees you, then no one will book you. And so unfortunately for some of you who wish it wasn't so, we are chasing visibility. That is a huge part of what we're doing. That is marketing. So obviously you have to have the trust piece in place, because how sucky would it be to go around and gather up a bunch of people and then have trust fall away once they look at your dilapidated storefront? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to go around town with your cute little postcards and be like, come see my beautiful new shop. And then they get there and like the chandelier falls on their head. That's not great. So you need all the elements. So key concepts of visibility. It's not about necessarily constantly marketing. It's, again, you guys know what, you know, the other C word it's going to be. It's about being consistent. So in the last podcast, or maybe it was, I'm starting to do the thing where I'm getting the Marketing Monday chats to the membership and the podcast episodes confused. I can't remember where I talked to which thing. But we have to remember that marketing done well should feel like a system, not a guessing game. And I know that a lot of you are going to be like, that is completely overwhelming. I'm shooting myself to the moon. It's actually less overwhelming once you train yourself in your own system, because remember, you are your own employee in every facet. So if you have a marketing system and you yourself can plug in as the marketing employee and get the marketing done in a way that hits all of these elements, that's actually easier emotionally than just throwing stuff out into the wind and then getting sad or happy when it hits or it doesn't. So this layer is like your distribution of messaging. It's just, where are you talking about your brand? How are you talking about it? It's very simple data sets, but you need to figure out what those are. So what are the elements of visibility? Well, evergreen, we'll break it down into 3: evergreen, daily, and borrowed, let's say. So evergreen would be things that just keep rolling forward as long as you stay in business, as long as you have the correct foundations in place. That would be Pinterest is one of those. It just keeps rolling forward. I have pins that get website traffic from all the way back from 2019. SEO, your Google business, all of those sort of forms of content that are evergreen, they're always just going to keep rolling forward. Daily, weekly visibility is going to be like Instagram, collaborations, tagging, TikTok, any sort of social that doesn't have a long shelf life. And then borrowed visibility is going to be features, guest posts, and partnerships, where you're latching yourself onto someone else's visibility train. So an exercise for this to see how you're doing is to pick one visibility channel that feels fun and easy and commit to showing up a certain number of times over a period of 6 weeks. That would be a good data set to see how it feels and if you see any changes in your business. A lot of you guys are not marketing consistently enough to gather any data to make meaningful change. So when you think about like Pinterest, for example, if you decided that you were just going to, at the end of every week, pin everything that you've created and make sure that it was strategically written with the correct keywords and all of that, in 6 weeks' time, especially for Pinterest, because it's even more long tail, in 6 months' time, how much difference could that make? So visibility is all about testing and trying different things. What happens now is that there's no visibility strategy for most people. Like in the membership, I was saying like, it's October. I don't even know what day. I couldn't even tell you what day it is. It's October something. Do not continue talking about fall if your fall is booked. Why are you doing that? We're doing that. Like one of the members said, she's doing it out of habit. She's doing it out of just what she thinks she's supposed to do. There's no reason to keep selling something that's not for sale. There's no rules here. There's no rules about like, you have to showcase every single shoot you shot in fall. hold on to that stuff until like I start releasing my fall in July. So hold on to all the work that you've created in a July folder for fall promotion 2026, and then release that work. And the work that you have, the time that you have, instead of just throwing up fall posts just to keep like participating in the arena of social media, start a strategic plan about what you're offering for 2026. Your eyes are going away soon. The eyes that you have on the business are going away. Take advantage of them. So that's something if you're like, if you were to honestly say, what are you showing on social media? It's not strategic. Or how are you marketing? It's not strategic. I'm just showcasing things that I shot and that's it. Actually try to come up with a very simple strategy. You know what I'm going to say if you're stuck, just do a series on what you're hoping, even if the series is as simple as what I hope to shoot in 2026, anything to get people this idea that you are going to be still in business next year, right? That's the simplest form. A more advanced form would be an actual marketing strategy centered around something like a Black Friday sale or centered around something like a 2026 release date. Okay, the third layer is converting this trusted traffic, we'll call it, trusted traffic. So you built the visibility, the people came, they saw, they trusted. Now, how do we get them to actually become clients? So the goal is to take these people who are interested and give them a path that's friction-free where they can actually get on your calendar. This piece is missing, of course, from my ranty rants. This piece is missing for a lot of people. What happens is it's like this, roller coaster up of trust and visibility and cohesion. And oh my gosh, I can picture my family doing this. And I'm so excited. We get to the top, which is then a overly complicated, friction-full booking process to where I just plunge into the depths of overwhelm and see myself out as a potential client. So that's what we don't want. The key concepts of this like conversion layer are that it's not pressure. You're not creating a salesy environment. You're not like standing on the corner of your town whipping one of those signs around. You're guiding people through the process and making it really easy. They need direction, not necessarily persuasion. You can use simple little psychological hits that work, like limited availability, or even your own excitement is a psychological trick, because we know that we can change the mood. Like having teenage girls right now, one of the main things I talk to them about, like other kids or being around other kids or making friends or whatever, is we talk so much about vibe. Like vibe is huge. I long ago learned how much control my vibe can have over other people. I mean, any person on planet Earth knows this. If you come into a room and your energy is dark and stormy, we're like human. I think of human brains as, I'm reading this book. It's by the guy who wrote, now I'm blanking, Robert Langdon. What is the guy? He's the Secrets, and he's running around and he's doing all the code breaking. I'm completely blanking on it. I'm sure some of you are shouting the name of it in your car or wherever you're listening. Okay, I'm reading that guy's latest book, Dan Brown. I can't remember the name of the book. So one of the concepts in that book is the idea of like a global consciousness, that there's something where we all can tap into each other. And of course it goes like deep into symbolism and all of that stuff. But my thing is like the most baseline feeling of that is just vibe. And once you learn how much vibe you bring to things and how much you can sway. So like if I'm come home after a long shoot and my girls are sitting on the couch and my husband's making dinner or whatever, and I come in and I'm like so happy and excited and I'm just like asking them stuff and my vibe is high, even if I'm like faking it a little bit, that energy that I shift in that moment as like how much control I have, as opposed to coming in as the stormy self that I might feel, completely separate. Marketing is the same way. You have so much control over the vibe of your marketing, but most of the marketing I see is vibeless, right? It's like, here's my images. And that's it. Like, we don't know anything. We don't know if you're excited or sad or anything. And like, I have to admit, like, I need to be better about this for my own business. I want to like come on, and I miss the days when I did more talking to people and all that stuff. So I'm getting there, and I know that I need to do it for my own business as well. So if you think about like the excitement to which you're bringing into your process, that also matters for conversions. So the element of this, so like the path to book, clear call to action, inquiry forms, or online booking. What are your payment systems? Are they simple? When someone's scheduled, what does it look like on their end? How are you checking in? How are you supporting them through styling? All of these things matter. So that path to go from a person who's entered your store, if we think about your first family photography business's store, branding was cute, came in, checked it out, came in the store, everything's super cute. Have you ever been in a store like that where you're like, everything in here is so cute, I want to eat it? Okay, that's what we want. The person's in there, they meet you. Think about, in Washington, my husband and I have this term for coffee shop baristas who work at like small coffee shops, and their whole vibe is like, why are you in here, you idiot? If you've ever been up here, I don't know if they have these people anywhere else. I call them the organic meanies. That's what I call them. So it's like, you came into my store for what? It's kind of like that vibe. They're always way cooler than you. And you're just like, oh, I'm so sorry. But like, could I trouble you for some coffee? As opposed to a vibe where someone is just like super welcoming. It's the same with your business and how you feel and how you make people feel. So what does that look like in terms of nurture? Like after somebody books with you, what are the touch points? What are the follow-ups? What are the pre-session communication? Like after you book with me, you get my phone number. Like you can text me pictures of outfits. You can like I'm available. I'm here for you. That's part of my customer service promise, right? Then you want to have this idea of reinforcement. Like while that person is learning about you or getting ready to book or whatever, you want to have testimonials behind the scenes, client stories to reinforce this trust that they've already gained, so they can be like we're buying a mattress right now for our upstairs so that my sister-in-law can come and stay with her baby. I'm very excited. So the process of buying a mattress, I had to rely almost 100% on social proof, which I even know in this day of AI, it can be super faked. And I just have to like hope that I'm doing the right thing and try to find the mattress on social media and go there and get more social proof. And it was actually a lot of work. I'm like reading consumer reports. I'm doing whatever I can to try to not get scammed. So it's the same thing. If you fill your booking process along the way they fill out the inquiry form or you have like a testimonial in your booking process, like that stuff can be really, really powerful. So an exercise to see how you're doing is visit your own booking process and go through it. Was it clear? Was it easy? Was it welcoming? So that's what I want you to think about. It's like, how are you welcoming people into your store? So trust, here's a way to think about it. Trust attracts attention that stays. So if the whole process is very trustworthy, all the way from discovery through booking, then that person is going to book. They won't have a reason not to, unless it's something that's completely out of your control, like their money situation. I see on this one group that you guys know I talk about where they like, you get the people on the phone and convince them. It's like, I know that works for those people. I don't have any interest in trying to convince someone that they should like go out of their budget, or like, I don't know anyone's financial situation. Financially, life could not be more expensive. I was just talking to my husband how like we've truly never made more money and had less money. Like it almost feels like gross. I'm just like, how is it possible? 2019, us would be so proud of where we are income-wise, but I feel less secure than that 2029 couple who's making less money. So knowing what's going on, I don't want to be in the position of trying to fight people about finances. All I can do is put everything out on the table. Here's who I am. Here's what it's like to work with me. Here's how I'll support you. Here's how much it's cost. I would love to partner with you on this. That's basically what we're saying. So when these things are connected, it forms a loop, and the visibility portion is so important. It creates a loop that makes your marketing self-sustaining. If your marketing is a system that you're plugging into, and that's your visibility loop, and you have high trust because you're because everything you say is cohesive and consistent and your booking process is easy, then the whole thing's sort of like how my business is now. It's just rolling forward, and I don't have to do a lot of marketing if I didn't want to. I do because I love getting data and I love testing things, and I'm obviously obsessed with marketing because I started this whole very niche podcast. But like, it's rolling forward in a way now, especially with my long tail marketing channels like SEO and Pinterest, where there's less pressure on the daily grind of marketing. And that's where I want you guys all to get. Okay, so the base is trust, the middle is visibility, the top is conversion. So only the few top people are the people who are going to book, but you want that all those people who land on the base of your brand, you want them to quickly take the next step into learning more or exit out. The people who are interested in learning more, you want them to be like, okay, the first thing I saw when I fell in love with her work, I see more of. I feel good. Everything feels good here. And the top is, okay, the booking process was easy and straightforward, because to be honest, there's so much going on in the world. Nobody has time for a complicated booking process, nor do I think it is needed. So here's your challenge. Step 1, identify which layer of this feels the weakest right now. Step 2, choose one small action to take this week and then start to track it. That's step 3. Like, open your notes app or a physical paper or whatever and just start to track things a little bit, because I want you to think of yourself as a data scientist and not just a Instagram clout chaser. Which, that sounds rude kind of, but I feel like a lot of us do feel that way, and it doesn't necessarily feel good. So I'd rather you feel more in control and more excited about the path that you're taking your own business on. Because at the end of the day, we're running these businesses and no one's stepping in to do it for us. And nor would we want them to necessarily, because you are the artist and you know what's best. Okay, we did it. I'm breathing better now. The membership is still really fun. You should definitely join. I'm loving it in there. I'm coming up with, in my own Black Friday sale for photographers, will be a discount for the small group classes that I'm going to be having on Facebook ads, Pinterest, and websites. Those are going to be the 3 small groups that I'm going to be having. I'm going to be running 1 group a month for each of those in January, February, March, and April. And then starting in May, my own outdoor work will start to take off to the point where I can't take anything on beyond the membership. So I hope you will consider one of those or joining the membership. I'd love to have you, and I hope you have a great week.